it isn't necessarily the easiest route. Having a job, you have a salary, you have benefits, you have all those things. And being a business owner, especially when people are working for you, I'm always concerned for the people that work for me. I want to make sure everything that they need is covered and that sort of things.
It doesn't add up correctly in my
Yes.
head because you have only 24 hours per day and you also have to take care of the baby as well. Did you ever feel that you like so overwhelmed that
Oh, yeah.
it was too much? What motivated you to keep moving?
I don't know that I ever put it in the category that it was too much. I have a high tolerance for work, good or bad, at that time. But I did realize I was very tired because the way we were working it is, I would do work during the time he was napping. He did go to daycare a couple of days a week in the beginning, but most of the time what we would do is once my ex-husband had gotten home, then I would work at night so he could watch our son and then I could go to networking or get work done that needed to get done and that sort of thing. So it wasn't until I started taking steps and growing it a little bit where I got a virtual assistant. And that started helping, taking some phone calls and making sure time wasn't wasted on certain sales calls and that sort of thing. And then eventually hiring, some people to work in the business besides me, which has its own set of things when you hire people. So that's not necessarily easier or better. It's just, where I was at in the business to handle as the business grew. But being a business owner, I mean, you think you have all the control. You really don't. You're controlled by, honestly, your clients, everybody. Like you're trying to please everybody. And, there are people just like my ex-husband or, I've definitely worked with businesses where, they've taken family loans, that sort of thing, where that also drives an entrepreneur to work too much because, they don't want to lose money doing what they're doing and making sure that the people that have faith in them feel like, they made it. And being a business owner is tough. So it isn't necessarily the easiest route. Having a job, you have a salary, you have benefits, you have all those things. And being a business owner, especially when people are working for you, I'm always concerned for the people that work for me. I want to make sure everything that they need is covered and that sort of thing. So that's something, I don't think a lot of people think about when they open a business. You really have to have that entrepreneurial spirit and feel passionate about the work that you're doing.
So if you can give your younger self at that point one best advice, what would it be?
That's a good question. Well, I would guess probably so my early 30s was when I started going to therapy. I think when you're younger, you're so driving towards something that you're not clear what you're driving toward or a vision of something else. And instead of just realizing like to believe in your skills and be confident in the person that you are, I don't think that confidence comes for a while. And you do have to do all this learning along the way, even by going to an outside third party to really understand what drives you and why. I think for me, uncovering that was going back to my mom's business. She lost everything when I was in high school. So she was part of what was then a savings and loan crisis. And her maid service was doing commercial cleaning. And so those contracts were under construction contracts. So she would go in like after a movie theater was built and do the construction cleanup. So she'd have a full crew of maids coming in to get it all ready for the opening. Well, those were very big contracts. And so when that savings and loan crisis hit and all those loans defaulted, her business went under and we lost everything. So she lost the business, but we also lost our house. I started working 3 jobs. You don't realize that those things are living inside of you, of that fear of I never want to be in that spot again. And so I think that was driving me a lot in those years, that I can make this work and I'll make sure we never get in that spot again. So some of those extra jobs probably weren't needed. But in my head, it was like, oh, I need to have a backup to the backup, like just to make sure we never lose everything. So I did need to go through that process, and I did have them after my second child. I wouldn't say a breakdown, but like I wasn't finding joy in anything. And could have been postpartum. They didn't talk about it as much at the time. I read about it now and I'm like, yeah, it could have maybe been that too, but whatever it was, I went to therapy and it really helped me uncover a lot of those things that were driving me to work the way that I was, so that I could start re-engineering my life.
So the mental health is very important.
Huge.
We need to take it serious, just as important as physical health.
Absolutely. And you want to show up for your children, your friends, your family, your colleagues intentionally, right? And I think at that time when I had my second child, I was a partner in a CPA firm at that time, and I got sick from the pregnancy. I was actually hospitalized. So that put a lot of fear in me, and I couldn't I also am big into working out, and I couldn't work out the way I had worked out before. So everything was kind of shifting, and I started yoga because that was the only thing I was allowed to do. And so that changed my life. I mean, so between doing yoga and going to the therapist, I never really allowed myself to stop and pause and look internally and even understand what was driving me. Until that point, I really just kept pushing forward, want to be a partner one day, like that. It was a goal, and something, for whatever reason I was trying to prove to myself. But that kind of perfect storm that happened in my 30s really drove me to who I am today.
Yeah, I recall I did attend your yoga section.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did, and it was pretty good. I
Thank
actually
you.
do yoga every day now. And
Good.
the funny thing is that if I skip one day yoga before I go to bed, my body will wake me up at midnight and say, hey, you need to do yoga. Otherwise, I will feel like my body will be like itchy and I couldn't rest. I feel so
Wow.
restless. I have no idea how my body works with yoga, but
It is
I cannot
amazing.
skip one day. Even sometimes I was like, I'm so lazy and I do not want to do it. My body, nope, you have to do it. Fine.
I love it. Yeah. Well, and that is like how you create a habit, right? Like, cause once you understand what you get out of it, how you feel, then you can push yourself past those messages of like the excuses that get in your way, right? Of doing it because you want to feel a certain way. And once you understand that, it really helps with creating a habit, even on the days you don't want to.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. So I think you are the only one CPAs so far on my podcast list that who actually is a CPA, also a yoga instructor as well.
Yep.
I really like in your CPE section that you always combine like the mental health, yoga, and then also at the same time with another topic related to the CPA career. So that's a great combination. Throughout your career, I see that you have been in a lot of different positions. Partner, president, adjunct professor as well. And now you have your own, like running your own business with tax services, right? And then you
Well, we don't do tax. We help tax advisory services develop a business. So business line. Yeah.
okay.
Client and tax advisory.
So now you probably, and also you are the keynote speaker as well. So
Mhm.
you are doing a lot at this time as well. Do you
Yes.
have, do you have time for yourself at all at this moment
Oh, yeah.
when, oh yeah, what do you get on?
I live what I preach for sure. Yeah. I mean, I work hard when I work. I travel a good deal with the work that I do, but I am very clear on boundaries and protecting that energy. So I teach a lot about intentional time management and mindfulness and how that impacts you in the workday as well, and resetting. And I think a lot of us sometimes want to skip that part or race through it, but it shows up whether we think it is or not. And so we want to be intentional in how we show up. And so that's really how the two have been able to combine in the work that I do.
Can you share with the audience some tips? How can they be intentional with their time and how they can be mindful with their workload?
Yeah. So, one of the things that I do a lot of coaching with people, and I definitely feel like for the most part, people end their day, they know they worked a lot of hours, not sure what they did,
That's
what they
true.
accomplished. So, it is really important to set priorities in your day and be very intentional about your calendar. A lot of people will start with me and be like, oh, this person put this meeting on my calendar, or like very much about what's happening to them versus what they can control versus what they can't control. And we can control more things than we think, but we do have to be intentional about it. So one of those ways is making sure we've prioritized the things in our day that are most important to accomplish, whether that be work or personal life. And you don't really want more than 3 things in your day that are a priority. There's only so many things you can accomplish. And then looking at your day, is your calendar aligned with your priorities? So if it's not aligned with your priorities, what meeting could be shifted? What meeting could someone else take instead of you? So a big piece of this is learning delegation. And in the session that you are in, we talked a lot about delegation in that session, because it's definitely a weakness for so many of us to not micromanage, but to actually delegate, allow people to do the work. We don't need 5 people on a meeting. We can probably have the person that is responsible for the thing to be on that meeting and report back, and have that trust in people. So a lot of our meetings are probably unnecessary that we're sitting in, or we decide to multitask during that meeting, which means that we're not being most productive. Our brains are not meant for that. They're meant for solo tasking or monotasking. So really important to stay intentional about your day, about your week. So even before the week starts, really understanding your priorities. Is your week aligned with that? Are there things that could be shifted? Is there something that should be added that's not there, that's aligned with your priorities? Where do you need to create focus time and space where you're just getting your own work done instead of meeting with everybody and filling your day and then your work's still not getting done?
To admit that it's a lot easier to just have meetings than getting the job done. You just attend the meeting, enjoy talking to people if you are extrovert. And
Yeah.
then the day goes by and then at the end of the day say, oh my gosh, I got nothing done and
Yes.
I still need to do other things outside of work as well. So I got that panic moments a lot.
Yeah. And then it takes away from your personal time with your family, which then creates burnout, like, because you got to work late into the night. I mean, so I definitely did that in my career, especially as a partner. I would be out at clients all day because client advisory services used to be that there wasn't much you could do online with people. You had to physically drive out to their office. So I'd be out all day. I get home, do dinner with the kids, and then start again at 8 o'clock and work. And it was just like a repetition every single day. And till you get to the point where you're not really enjoying anything, you're not necessarily enjoying the work anymore. You're not fully present around your children or your friends or your family because you're thinking about other things that need to get done. So when you set those priorities and you're accomplishing them, it's a way to clear your mind that, like, I can be present because I did get those things done.
That's how you learn how to be mindful on what you do as well.
Hmm.
That's what I learned from meditation. It's not easy to meditate.
No.
It takes me such a long time to finally like, okay, I'm meditating now instead of just sitting there and they have no idea what I'm doing.
It's true.
So that's
And
like,
there's no like amount of time with meditation that you have to do. So even if it's just 2 minutes and you can take 2 minutes within your day to reset before you go to a meeting or before you start your work, it helps you to focus on the next thing that you're about to do and reset.
I agree. I normally I normally do yoga and after that spend about 5 to 10 minutes for meditation. And
Hmm.
then now I actually have to turn on meditation to fall asleep. And my
Yeah.
husband hates that meditation voice. And he's like, can you just turn it off? And I was like, I cannot fall asleep. So
Yes. I do the same thing. My headspace guy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Hmm.
then I think that sometimes I wake up at midnight and I couldn't get back to sleep. I have to turn that on. It's just funny that the body and your mind just understand what's going on. Like
Yes.
when I start doing yoga, my body understand that okay, it's time to get
Hmm.
fall asleep. When I start doing meditation, I say okay, it's time to start relax and then fall asleep at different time in during the day as well. And so, like, I think one time I turned on meditation at 2 a.m. because I woke up at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And my husband, like, what's going on?
Well, I mean, I think it is interesting with all the studying I've done over the years because of that same thing that you're saying is like, why does this work? Doesn't make sense, right? But it is something that really taught me that for thousands of years, the human condition has been hard no matter what the civilization's been, what they've done, for work, whatever it is, technology they didn't have, people have been trying to figure out how to just feel better and also be able to function with whatever traumas they've had during their life. And I think it's really important to realize that this isn't new and it like the science is amazing with it, but it's also unexplainable a lot of the times as well.
It's true. Unexplainable. That's the perfect word for it. I cannot explain to my husband how it works. And my husband, like, oh, I cannot stop thinking about work. And I was like, maybe you should try meditation. And he's like, no, I don't like it.
Well, and I think that's a thing, with adults that happens is when we're children, when someone says to go learn something, you have to go learn it. You don't have a choice to opt out. But as adults, if the first time we do it, it doesn't feel good, then we're like, yeah, we're not doing that again. Versus like being a child and say, no, you have to go back again and try it again. Because we know innately it takes a while to know if you like something or not. Like you can't judge it on your first time. And then if you've done it for a while and it's still not providing you joy, okay, that's fine. Find something else. What would be the next thing that might work for you in order to find what you're looking for from an energy perspective, but not to give up on that, but also not to try it once because you're not going to be an expert the first time you do something. And I think for so many of us, especially type A personalities, we want to be good at it. And it's like, no, in our profession, we weren't good at it for a long time. It takes a while to learn and it's uncomfortable to learn. But if you don't, you just don't grow.
True. That's true. Look back in your career that you have been doing in a lot of positions, try out all different companies as well, and then also different board of director positions in your career. What are the best lessons throughout your career that you could advise to younger professionals who are trying to be better to grow in this CPA career?
So I think the biggest thing I can say is to keep your eyes open for things that might spark energy that you never expected. Like, in my career, I wouldn't have thought technology was in my path, So when I started to design how a software would be implemented at a client, it was very creative to me. I realized like it was bringing out that creative side of me that I love to figure out how do I get them out of this mess and create something amazing at the end that they can like improve their business. So I think it's really important, number one, to keep your eyes open of like all the different things coming out in this profession and what really interests you, and really studying what those jobs look like. Find people on LinkedIn that are doing it, follow their careers, follow what they're posting, like learn what the day-to-day would be like doing that job, but also not feeling like you have to be an expert in it to do it. Like you've got to get started to do it. So a lot of times we reject positions because we think, oh, I'm not ready yet, or I don't have all the skills. You're never going to be 100% ready for the next job. What you do have to be is open to learn and be like humble, like not come in like you know everything and like you can answer every question just because you might have a title of a VP or manager or whatever. Like go in and really understand what people are doing, learn the job, then learn best practices, and then respect, you know, that knowledge around you and see how you merge all of that together. And I think the third thing is that to not try to do it alone. And what I mean by that is I think so many times, and I see it with people I coach too, is they're frustrated with something at work, or they're frustrated with ways something's going, and then they try to take it on themselves versus going to your colleagues and saying, why don't we come up with some suggestions for leadership on what would be some options of another way forward, and what would be the results and the impact, and think like a business owner when you're making a suggestion. Because maybe when you go through the process, you're like, wait, this might not be a good idea. But sometimes we fight for something without really knowing all the aspects of it, and be open to learning. So like I'll tell you an example that comes up a lot is clients, in a public accounting firm, that partners want to hold on to certain clients, then the staff's like, why are we working on this client?
So true.
So I think first is really truly to understand why that partner's holding on to the client, because there's no way to solve for a solution or how to handle that client, or what the work would look like, or how you could change the process, the technology, the offshoring. What other ways could you work so that all parties could feel satisfied that that person is whole? And where are you going to get the help to do it, so that you're not just coming and complaining, that you're coming with solutions and answers as well?
I see great lessons. I hope audience will pick up these lessons for their career path and learn from it. Thank you so much, Amy, for your time today to share about your journey and also your tips and lessons and advice for the young professionals.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Amy.